My name is Faisal Kadri. I'm a cyberneticist. I'm interested in cybernetics of humor, where I investigate the information content of humor by applying signature analysis to online humor appreciation surveys. The surveys are on my website, artificialpsychology.com. The survey I used in this investigation has 96 humor lines and attracted 277 English-speaking participants from many parts of the world. The following is a shortened version of my presentation to the 2014 conference of the American Society for Cybernetics at George Washington University in Washington, D.C.
The Humor Appreciation Questionnaire has 96 one-line jokes and prompts the participant to score how funny he or she sees them in grades of 1 to 5. Common one-liners were used, freely available online, such as, "Don't sneeze when someone is cutting your hair," "Why did God create man before woman?" "He didn't want any advice," and so on. The approach of this investigation is to classify humor lines into 4 age trend groups. The signature of each class will be computed, then compared with the age profiles of each line. The goal is to find out if the line is a good representative of its class. Here is part of the raw score readout. The first column is the date and time participants took the survey. The next 5 columns, X1B5 to X5B5, are the computed Big 5 personality dimensions. Then, the 8 humor composite dimensions MC1 to 8. Both of these dimensions will not be used in our investigation. Then, the individual humor line scores, J1, J2, etc., denoting joke 1, joke 2, and so on. Notice there are some empty boxes where the participant did not score. After humor scores, we can see participants' identifiers, including age group and gender. Individual information is blocked here for privacy. Age group identifiers start from 15, denoting 15 years of age and below, then 16 for 16 to 25, then 26, and so on. The survey records 6 age groups from under 15 to over 55. Notice some participants who were generous with their marks while others held back. For example, the scores on line 6 are mostly ones with very few 2s and 3s, while line number 8 are mostly high, in the 3, 4, 5 range. This tells us that participant scores are subject to common offsets, due probably to mood at the moment of participation or the general long-term outlook of the participant. Such common factors, which apply to all scores, are not the focus of our study and will not contribute to the differential information content. What we're looking for are individual differences between lines of humor. In order to reduce the effects of common offsets, the scores will be scaled for each participant, which means that the 5 absolute grades will be replaced by fractional grades relative to the participant's mean, and the deviations from the mean will be expressed in standard deviation units. Scaled scores remove mood and allow for the creation of classification. These are the scaled scores for the same participants. Notice that the scores are no longer single digits 1 to 5. We generated a multitude of values, and missing values are replaced with zeros and do not contribute information to the analysis. The adoption of a common measure allows us to classify jokes according to their age trending. We can compute the average scores of one-liners for age groups and determine if their scores vary or stay the same with age. Depending on only measured scores, we can now define 4 classes of humor based on age trend: falling, rising, peaking, and constant. Earlier research found these classes to correlate significantly with the context of humor. As an example of a class of humor, here are the scores from the falling age class. It includes lines number 1, 3, 4, etc. Signature analysis is a statistical procedure with very useful applications. One of these applications is to determine whether a signal profile is a good estimator and can identify the signature of a known object. The signatures of the 4 classes of humor are computed from the means of age groups. The limits of best estimators, better known as the Kramer-Rao bounds, are calculated from the variances of observed scores. This is the graphics of humor signatures. The best estimator is the profile that passes through the center of all the brackets of the Kramer-Rao bounds simultaneously. Notice the flow of the gaps is not linear. There are bumps that identify a signature. Statistical software can find parameters grouped by a variable. The highlighted columns are the age profile values of each line. The first column indicate which line, number 1, 3, 4, etc. We will plot the age profile of each line against the signature of the line's class in order to see whether or not the scores are good estimators of their class. Considering that scores from different age groups are generally from different unrelated individuals, it is reasonable to expect the line profile to be uncorrelated, or to mostly follow a zigzag path around the signature. Here is an example of line number 4. A dwarf wanted to commit suicide, so he jumped off the curb. This is an example of aggressive humor classified in the following age trend. You can see the under 15s highly appreciated this line, while the over 55 didn't like it at all, while ages in between swung widely around the means. The initial expectation was that most profiles would follow this example of seemingly uncorrelated errors. The results were truly remarkable, and mostly did not meet this expectation. Many profiles were obviously correlated and age-typical. Others were offset close images of the signatures, and others had partial fit, with 1 or 2 age groups having atypical appreciation. Here are examples of age profiles of 4 jokes. Number 79. I told my psychiatrist that everyone hates me. He said I was being ridiculous. Everyone hasn't met me yet. The profile has about 0.5 standard deviation positive offset, and its shape matched the signature of constant appreciation with age. This is a good example of highly appreciated age-typical humor. Number 6. Diplomacy is the art of telling someone to go to hell in such a way that he looks forward to the trip. This also has a substantial positive offset, but not as much as number 79. Age-typical with falling appreciation except the over 55 group, which appreciated it more than expected by its profile. Number 11. Puppies still have bad breath even after eating a Tic Tac. The offset is substantially negative, indicating poor humor appreciation, yet the profile fits peaking age trend. Number 32. George W. Bush's new strategy, a timetable for the withdrawal of all Iraqis from Iraq. Surprisingly, this one-liner came very close to meeting the criterion of best estimator. All age groups reacted in an age-typical way for a rising age trend classification, and its funniness is truly average. This was scored while GWB was in the White House. The plot of error distribution without offset compensation shows no similarity to normal distribution. Statistical normalcy test confirms the dissimilarity. But when the offsets are removed, the distribution shows a characteristic spike near the 0 error. This is a clear demonstration of the validity of humor classification along age trend lines.
The graphical results are intuitive and suggest the possibility of measurement in new ways, keeping in mind that our conclusions are valid for the population of participants only. Notice the size and signs of offsets, which could be understood as a measurement of the general funniness of a joke. Positive offsets are appreciated more, negative offsets. Shorter surveys were also investigated. It was found that most participants in longer surveys give honest, serious answers, while shorter surveys attracted participants who don't take the survey seriously. The added measurement noise generated by frivolous participants shows in wider Kramer-Rao bounds and more uncorrelated zigzag profiles. Trend classification is objective. It does not depend on subjective interpretations of the language of sentences. I can therefore conclude that humorous and possibly regular sentences can have characteristic age profiles which contain enough information to match the signatures of at least one of the 4 age trend groups.